The life of a mafia boss is often romanticized in movies and TV shows, portrayed as one filled with power, wealth, and luxury. However, behind this glamorous facade lies a brutal reality that most people are unaware of. Becoming a mafia boss is not a walk in the park. It's a long and treacherous journey that requires cunning, ruthlessness, and an iron will. But what if you could skip all that and just be born into the lifestyle? If you were born into the mafia, here's what your life would be like. Welcome to my channel. Today let's find out what it would be like to be born into the mafia. Family first. If you grew up in the mafia, you know that family comes first. It doesn't matter if you're related by blood or by association. Your loyalty to your family is unwavering and unconditional. You would do anything to protect your own, even if it meant going against the law. From an early age, you were taught to put the needs of your family above your own and to always have their back no matter what. In the mafia, the family is everything. It's the foundation of society and the glue that holds it together. Blood ties are strong, but the bonds created through marriage and association are just as important. In fact, sometimes they're even stronger. For example, godfathers and their godchildren have a special relationship that is almost as sacred as the bond between a parent and child. You would grow up surrounded by the men and women who make up your family, and from them you would learn the values and traditions of the organization. They would teach you how to be a man or woman of honor, how to handle yourself in different situations, and how to be loyal to the family above all else. Growing up, you would attend family gatherings where you would meet your extended family members and other important people in the organization. These events would be more than just social get-togethers. They were also opportunities for you to learn about the history of your family, to hear stories of the great things that your ancestors had done. Learning the business. Let's face it, if you grew up in the mafia, you probably knew the family business from a very young age. It's not like you could go to school and learn about it there. So you learned it at home, whether you wanted to or not. You would see your parents and other family members involved in criminal activities, and you would hear them talking about money, power, and respect. You might even have witnessed acts of violence firsthand, such as murders or beatings. This would create a sense of fear and intimidation around you. But it would also create a desire to be powerful enough to never have to worry about such things happening to you. Your family members would teach you the ins and outs of the mafia, how to make money, how to stay under the radar, and how to handle yourself in dangerous situations. They would teach you how to be a good listener, how to observe your surroundings, and how to keep your emotions in check. After all, being a mafia boss is not just about being able to make money. It's also about being able to maintain control and power, and that requires a certain level of discipline and emotional detachment. As you grew up, you would also learn about the enemies of your family and how to deal with them. You would hear stories of rival families and the violent conflicts that had taken place between them. You might even have played a role in some of these conflicts, such as by delivering messages or providing intelligence. As you got older, your role in the family business would become more significant. You would start to participate in meetings and make decisions that affected the entire organization. You would have to balance the needs of your family with the need to stay under the radar of law enforcement. And you would constantly have to be aware of the dangers that came with your lifestyle. A life of luxury. Now, let's talk about the perks of being born into the mafia, the luxury lifestyle. If you were born into the mafia, chances are you never had to worry about money again. Your family's criminal activities would provide you with all the money you could ever need, plus a little extra for good measure. With all that cash, you could afford to live in a mansion, drive a luxury car, and wear expensive clothes. We'd never have to work a day in your life unless you wanted to, because someone else would be happy to do it for you. But the luxury lifestyle wasn't just about material possessions. It was also about the respect and power that came with being part of a powerful family. People would be afraid to mess with you because they knew who you were associated with. And you would have the power to make or break people with just a snap of your fingers. That kind of power can be intoxicating, and it's hard not to get addicted to it. However, it's essential to remember that with great power comes great responsibility. You would have to constantly be on guard for enemies and be prepared to defend yourself and your family at a moment's notice. One wrong move could cost you dearly, and you couldn't afford to make any mistakes. Love and marriage. Arranged marriages are common in many cultures, but they're especially prevalent in the mafia. When you're born into the mafia, Your parents have probably already chosen who you're going to marry, and you don't get much say in the matter. Marrying within the family is also common in the mafia, and you might find yourself marrying your cousin or another close relative. This might sound gross to outsiders, but it's just another way for the family to protect its power and wealth. When you're born into the mafia, you don't really have a choice when it comes to love and marriage. Your family's reputation and power are more important than your happiness, and you're expected to do whatever you can to protect them. This means that you might have to marry someone you do love, or even have children with someone who's not your partner. It's a small price to pay for the protection of your family. It's children in the mafia. If you have children, you know that they're one of the most precious things in life. You would do anything to protect them, and that includes keeping them safe from harm. However, if you were born into the mafia, you might have to teach your children the harsh realities of life early on. They would grow up knowing that their father is a feared mafia boss, and that their family is constantly in danger. It's not uncommon for mafia families to keep their children out of school and away from public life in general. Instead, they might hire private tutors to teach their children at home. This is not because they're trying to hide their children from the authorities, but rather to protect them from the dangers that lurk outside their home. Your children would also grow up knowing that their father's enemies would stop at nothing to harm them. This means that you would have to teach them how to be cautious and aware of their surroundings at all times. You would also need to teach them how to fight and defend themselves if necessary. After all, it's better for your children to be able to defend themselves than to be taken hostage or killed. Being a woman in the mafia is a whole different story. Women in the mafia have always had a unique and often challenging role to play. They're expected to be loyal and trustworthy, but also beautiful and charismatic. They must navigate the dangerous world of organized crime while upholding the family's honor and protecting its secrets. Mafia women are often highly skilled in manipulation and deception, and they use these skills to protect their families and advance their interests. They can be fierce and ruthless when crossed, but also incredibly loving and protective of those they care about, despite the challenges they face. Mafia women have a long and rich history and continue to play a vital role in organized crime today. If you were born into the mafia, life would not be easy. You would have to deal with a constant threat of violence, the pressure to uphold your family's honor, and the difficult decisions that come with power and wealth. But it would also be an exciting and thrilling life full of adventure, intrigue, and danger. You would get to live on the edge of society, where the rules are different and the stakes are high. You would get to be part of a tight-knit community of people who share your values and traditions. And you would get to live a life of luxury and excess that most people can only dream of. And we want to hear from you. What do you think it would be like to be born into the mafia? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting videos like this one. See you next time.